There we go. Now we're cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle, and we are back again. Thank you for checking out. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate it. On this episode, we're back at it again. And we're back at it. You see the title. We're going to talk about the recent Billboard list, Billboard magazine, which I didn't really know was still a thing, recently named their top 50 greatest rap groups of all time. And as soon as I saw it, I reached out to my friend over here and I said, we got to talk about this. And the friend that I'm talking about is no stranger to the show. He's been on here a gazillion times. My man, Eclectik, is back in the building. E, what up, man?
What's up, everybody? It's E to the click to the ick to the. It's nice to be on the show. Seems like I've been taking a podcast hiatus for a while, but I don't know. I'm back, and what better reintroduction to podcasting to talk about this bullshit list. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Man. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. We're spoiler alert. We're not fans of this list, and you know, be honest, we haven't been fans of a lot of lists that we've talked about. We talked about a few on your podcast episodes. We're doing it here again. Billboard magazine. I think the thing that stood out to me initially was, and some of the discussions that I had on social media was something that we talk about quite often is when you come up with a list of things. If you guys have been following Eclectik, he is currently doing the 50 greatest story rhymes. But when you started doing that, you said, okay, here's my criteria. And that's the thing that we've constantly talked about is like a lot of times people come up with these lists and there's no criteria. I have no problem with anybody's list if you tell me what the criteria is to be on this particular list. So, yeah,
I would like to say,
go ahead.
I don't have a problem with people's lists if they give me criteria, but there's a caveat.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me criteria and then don't follow it on your list. So if you're going to tell me, here's the list of the top blonde actors in Hollywood and be like, number 3, Samuel L. Jackson. What are we doing?
Right. Where are we going? Yeah, man.
So these fine individuals at Billboard, Billboard.com did the thing. They gave us a criteria. They wrote it out. They said that we didn't take it lightly.
Right.
And boy, all right.
Yeah, man. It was something. I mean, and I'm gonna read to you guys what it says on Billboard.com. It says it bears repeating that this undertaking was not taken lightly, handled lightly. Excuse me. It took much deliberation and even deeper discussions to reason our way to what we believe was a well thought out, authentic list that reflects hip hop's foundational pioneers, evolutionary trailblazers, and contemporary disruptors. The selected groups also encompass 50 years of cultural milestones for a genre initially dismissed as a passing fad and now recognized as the industry's market share leader. So if you transcribe what they said, okay, well, here's our criteria. If you're a pioneer, if you're a trailblazer, if you're a contemporary disruptor, and this is in salute of hip hop turning 50, which we know Hip hop turns 50 this year. If you're listening to this episode, make sure that you stay tuned for Hip Hop Week, where I'm going to honor Hip Hop Week with an episode each day of Hip Hop Week, culminating with a tribute to the great Kool Herc. But yeah, the last thing in that little diatribe, it says that they're being now recognized as market industry share leaders. I guess before we even jump into this list, the thing that caught me was they said the hip hop groups. Now, the groups are something that you and I've talked about. We've done drafts about. Groups, as we know it, because you and I have been doing this hip hop thing for a long, long time. So we've seen groups from way back, from Grandmaster Flash and Melly Melly Furious 5 to Funky 4+1 to Run DMC to The Roots to and so forth, on and on and on. We've seen 50 years of groups. I don't necessarily know if our good friends at Billboard have seen 50 years of groups. So, and groups, by and large, don't exist like they once did before. So, what did you think before you saw the list and you started, and I sent this to you before you even started, like, I guess, scrolling through the list? What were your initial thoughts about Billboard making a list of the top 50 groups, knowing what you know about hip hop groups?
Well, I was spoiled because when you sent it, it went right to like number 3 or 2, whatever the link did. It went to 1. I saw what they were up to, and so I was like, so immediately I was like, well, let me scroll and see where the greatest groups are.
Right.
And then they were nowhere near where they were supposed to be, and so then I had to scroll all the way to the bottom, to the back of the list. See the thing that stuck out to me was all right. So what the problem is, and look, I'm not one of those people. I promise you, I'm not one of those people. But the problem with this list is they're trying to be all inclusive.
Yes.
They're trying to make everybody happy, and you can't do that. You can't do that all the time. And then when you compromise your criteria in order to please everybody, listen to this. This is their words. Foundational pioneers, evolutionary trailblazers, contemporary disruptors. One of those things doesn't sound like the other two.
No, it doesn't.
If you are a pioneer and a trailblazer, that's a disruptor. Also, when you have an all-time list, this is all-time.
All-time, 50.
How do you have anybody contemporary in it? You haven't been around long enough to be considered all-time. And
yeah.
So you can't be an all-time if you're new. It's almost an oxymoron. So, but to please and appease people, you got to say, oh, we got some current people in here too. But how? Nothing new is a classic. Nothing new is a great. It can be great, but it can't be a great.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately off top, it's like, okay, so this is gonna be some bullshit. And so, yeah, but knowing what I know and knowing that really, no matter, here's the other problem. The contemporary disruptors, they're not really groups.
No, not really.
The groups died in the 90s, early 2000s maybe. There's no groups.
1,000%.
There's some people that hang out together and make some songs, but they're not really groups. I mean, you might have, and this is no bullshit, 5. And that's really that is really being generous to say 5, because the fact of the matter is most people just want to go solo. They want to get all the money themselves anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are no friends anymore. People
None.
aren't friends. They'll put people together and say, hey, you and now
Right.
you guys are a group to make some money. But so anyway, looking at this, looking at the criteria, I already knew this is not gonna go. And then they said, well, we put duos, which growing up, coming up in hip hop, duos are groups. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until late 2000s when people started caring about who's the greatest and who's the best and making all these lists. There was no list in the 80s.
None.
There was no list in the 90s. No one had a greatest or best of all anything in the 80s or 90s. No one cared. We just liked what we liked. If you didn't like it, cool. All right, well, who cares? You're not gonna, take my $10 on Tuesday. So it wasn't until then where it's like, oh no, that's not a group, that's a duo. Oh, it has to have more than one rapper. It needs to have 2 rappers. And in our day, a group, a dude and a DJ, that's a group.
That's it.
If it's more than one person on stage, if it's more than one person on the records, it's a group. If it's a guy and a DJ, a woman and a DJ, a person and a beatbox, that's a group.
Right. That's a group, right?
And so they included all of these different entities, which is fine with me because a group is a group. But then when you look at the placement based on the criteria and the body of work, that's when you get Boogie Down Productions at 31.
We'll get there. Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, man. I think the thing that, okay, let me go back to answer the same question I asked you. When I was told about this list, because they were doing a countdown, and for some reason they stopped, I guess, at 10. So I remember seeing some rankings, and I remember seeing like 45 and 32 and something like that. And I really wasn't paying any attention. And then there was some time in between, I guess, the time that they released up to the top 10. And there was maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. I don't even know, because I don't follow Billboard.com like that, or anything Billboard for that matter. I don't even know if they.
I thought you were a staff writer.
No, I'm not. Not even close. That's your cousin on Twitter. You know the dude. I can't remember his name. But yeah, man. So it's like, and then I see this list, and much like you, like, so when I got it, when I opened the link, it opened up at number 1. Yeah. So there was the intrigue of starting at 10 or starting at 50 and scrolling down. I didn't have that. So I started at 1 and was able to scroll up. And when I saw 1, I was like, no.
I love the fact that, what I was spoiling, but you already know it was number 1. It doesn't matter. We don't have to say it. But I love the fact that slowly but surely these days, people are coming around with me to my side on this number 1. Oh, it feels so good to be. I've been trying to tell people, they've been shielded, and it's just a great welcome.
We'll get there. We'll get there, because you and I.
TY, that's a unity.
Well played. You and I may have some similar thoughts at 1. So let's not keep the people waiting. Let's go, and I'll give you the honors of starting and doing 50 through 40. Just naming and as you're naming them and as I'm naming them, I guess what I'd like to kind of make just mental notes of is to see, because you made several good points, but you made a great point in, they said, okay, here's the criteria, and then they didn't follow the criteria. So I want to make a mental note as you're calling these names of these groups, which ones are the foundational pioneers, which ones are the evolutionary trailblazers, and which ones are the contemporary disruptors. So the floor is yours to give 50 through 40.
Well, 50 is MOP. You know what MOP stands for?
That would be the Mash Out Posse.
That is it. And then number 50, Lil Fame and Billy Dance.
Dance.
When you go with when you go with the criteria, I think hip hop foundational pioneers, evolutionary trailblazers, contemporary disruptors. I think there's a fourth, and that's a group. They're just a group. They're none of those three.
Yes. All facts.
So, I mean, very, very, very good group, very dope group. And based on the rest of this list, they're ranked too low.
Yeah.
If you're going to include everybody that is on this list, they shouldn't be 50.
I agree.
49 is Black Star. Now, Black Star is I suppose some people could say a duo.
Yeah.
Because most people say no, the duo is a DJ and a rapper, but it's just two people. So who knows? But anyway, these individuals, Talib Kweli and whatever his name is today,
Mighty Mos, Mighty Yasin Bey,
49. Listen, they only have 2 albums.
I mean,
well, how are you all time? I shouldn't say that because according to some people, Christopher Wallace.
I mean, hey, it's not his fault he made 2 albums.
Okay, so it's not anyone's fault they made 2 albums.
Right.
Because these 2 individuals are still alive and they only made 2 albums. so I'm just saying.
I think there was a third album that was put on some type of social media platform that nobody was going to pay for. So I think there's a third album. But go ahead.
No way you're an all-time great if no one's going to pay for your music.
Because I damn sure wasn't about to download and pay $37.89 for that album. I'm sorry.
Now, if you're going to keep this list the way it is, even with only 2 installments, they're ranked too low. Because I like to introduce to you number 48.
Oh my gosh.
Not the City Girls.
City Girls, man.
Now the fine people at Billboard provided us with a picture of City Girls, not the City Girls. And if you just look, you would think it's the same person, just doubled up.
Yeah.
There's Young Miami, and there's JT, and they're a rap group. And they are ranked 48. Wow. They're ranked
of all time. Of all time.
Who's ever done it. And they too have 2 albums. And
I didn't know that.
They have 2 albums. All time, and their first album was in 2018. all time greats that started in 2018. And as the date of this recording is 2023, their second album was in 2020. So they haven't even made an album.
Vets in the game, B.
In almost 2 years. And 48. Now, coming up, coming in hot. Is Ray Sherman. Shermerd. Who look for in their credit, they have 4 albums.
Oh wow. Did not know that.
Yeah, you wouldn't, because most people don't listen to them and have no idea about their music.
Shout out to Sway Lee and Slim Jimmy.
I would lose every piece of my money if I wagered a bet on naming those two. And it's not, I'm going to tell you how bad it is. Right now, after you said their names, I still can't name them.
I can name them because they're in this article, but as I look at the picture,
No. I couldn't say the two names right now after you named them. I'm not saying point them out. I still, I think you said Slim Jimmy.
Yeah, and Sway Lee.
Yeah, see? All right. I would have lost. But anyway, I do know, I do know No Type, and I do know Black Beatles.
You know two more than I do.
The reason why I know those is because they were viral dance shits on like TikTok and stuff. Like I think one of them was when they had the mannequin challenge.
Okay. So I know that song. Yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what a City Girl ever made.
Nah, I couldn't either.
I can't imagine that there's no way that these individual groups are better than MOP. No, they're just not.
Maybe they're contemporary disruptors.
They have to be, but I don't know. Maybe I just came on with this. They're disrupting what was previously considered good music. So they disrupted
obviously
it.
So.
Okay. All right. Now we're here.
All right, we're at 46.
So at 46,
ooh, coming in even hotter.
Even hotter. All time. This is all time hip hop. And mind you, hip hop. The Yin Yang Twins. They haven't been active since 2009. And Salt Shaker and Weight. Those were two slams that they made. I don't think if you only have, and I'm being very generous, a handful of songs that people recognize, you could be considered, I'm saying even in top 50, but
all time.
They don't belong here. They don't belong on this list, but they're here. Now listen. If you're going to make this list and include who is at 45 on said list, there is no way that they are 45.
No way.
Now, who I'm talking about is Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Now, I have no idea how. Now, listen. If you take away the EP, they too only have 2 albums. And then you would look at me and say, well, according to you, 2 albums would make you an all-time great.
But an all-time single classic would.
Well, that's the thing. Now, if you have classic songs, and let us go back to the criteria about trailblazers and pioneers, then you gotta include that. What I meant was you can't just have 2 albums.
Right.
That's it. You have 2 albums. Listen, I love Ante Up.
Me too.
You can't just have 2 albums. Now, these individuals, if you're going to be on this list, they're definitely top 20.
No doubt.
And they're at 45. Not to be outdone. Somehow, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep rolling.
somehow Pete Rock and CL Smooth are not, never be better than the pioneering, trailblazing, disrupting Crisscross.
Yeah.
Not only are Crisscross higher on this list than Pete Rock and CL Smooth, they're on the list.
Yes.
They didn't even write their rhymes.
But they did have a classic song in Jump.
You know, and I will say, when I go to brunch, and back when I used to go to the club, I would definitely hear Jump way more than TROY. I would always, to this day.
That's a damn shame.
Everyone I am being incredibly facetious. Do they reminisce over you? Is played every year.
Yeah.
No one plays Jump. I would rather, you know, anyway. Chris and Chris.
Shout out.
Rest in peace to the god Chris Kelly. Yeah. They're on the list for some reason. They Jump
at 44.
Warm it up,
Chris.
Oh, and the All Right song with Supercat. They had that song. Kid and Play. Listen, I understand. And maybe by the time we're done with this list, and we say, well, that's the list. They had to do what they had to because at a certain point, groups disappeared. So you have to include groups. So if you have to include group, this is what we had. So they had to fit somewhere.
Right.
So Kid and Play and Crisscross, though, Pete Rock and CL Smooth. It's just there's no way. But I like Kid and Play.
Yeah, me too.
I've purchased Kid and Play music with my own money.
Me too.
I've seen the House Party 1 and 2 more times than I've seen a lot of family members. So I'm a fan, and they should be on this list. And this might be the good place for them.
Agree.
You know, maybe we'll give them some 30 something, but Heavy D and the Boys is at 42.
Criminally, way too high.
Or low.
Way too. Way too. Like it should be a whole lot lower.
So Heavy D and the Boys. Now listen, I understand that, you know, Heavy D and the Boys haven't made music in a long time for good reason. But when you talk about pioneer and trailblazer, when this individual or this individual group we listen to all the time, and not only did we, our parents enjoyed them.
Facts.
Heavy D is doing songs with Janet Jackson, but he's still hip. No one is doing songs with Janet Jackson or any Jackson and maintaining their street shit.
Yeah. Then one with Mike. When they got together and jammed. And he didn't curse. Told you not to curse.
He told Coogee Rap not to curse. So but I don't understand how he's at 42. This doesn't make any sense. Again, with their criteria. Then you have Lil Brother at 41. The greatest Southern rap group in the history of hip hop. Shut up, everybody. That's what they are. I love. They're still not better than Pete Rock and CL Smooth, but they're here. Shout outs to Billboard for remembering they exist.
Yeah,
because most people do not remember they exist, and a group of even mild hip hop heads, when talking about groups, they do not come up.
Right, and they should.
And they should. But their body of work is enough to get them on the list. Because of the people who are on this list, they should be higher.
Exactly.
But not as high as Pete Rock and CL Smith. And probably not as high as Heavy D and the Boys. Because they also have the pioneer part.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brother is just a dope group.
Facts.
And that's another. You have the pioneers, you have the trailblazers, you have the disruptors, then you have a group, and then you have a dope group. That's the five.
And that should have been the five.
Yeah, the disruptors should all be in the 40 to 50 range because you can't be contemporary and great. But anyway, now listen.
40.
I spent money on Onyx, and that is at number 40. And they have technically a lot of material. They have at least 6-7 albums. Most people only know 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, should they be on the list? Yeah, but maybe where they are.
Right.
People don't go around quoting Onyx lyrics.
Not at all. Not at all.
But so far, the bottom 10 of this list, 40 through 50, I think they got, all things considered, if this has to be the list, because there are groups that are not on this list that would push some of these city girls out of this list. So, but the bottom 10, they got at least 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they got half of them wrong of the bottom 10. So 5 should be there. I'll give you the 5. I'll give you the 5 that should be in the bottom here. We got City Girls, not the. We have the Raid Shoes. Yin Yang Twins, if they have to be on the list, they should be in the bottom of this thing. Crisscross, if they have to be on the list, they should be somewhere in the bottom. And Onyx, if they have to be on the list, they should be in the 40 to 50 range. But the other 5, they got screwed up. So
yeah, that's a great breakdown, man. I think you made some great points there. That part of the list had me shaking my head. And much like you, I thought it was the City Girls, not City Girls. So I had been saying it wrong all these years.
Yeah, man, get yourself correct, man.
Yeah, I mean, young Miami and JT, man. Apologies to y'all for mispronouncing your names.
Maybe they should get Flo Milli in the group.
From Mobile, Alabama. So 39 is SV, Slum Village. I've much like you, E, has said earlier, I spent money on Slum Village. Actually, I bought 1, 2, 3, 4 albums.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did not know they had 4.
And I will say this. Slum Village gets at 39, in my opinion, on the strength of Jay Dilla. No knock on the other members as far as their rapping abilities, T3 and Batan, but they're not. I mean, they are. How can I say this without offending people? They aren't excellent. They are marginal rappers, but they're rhyming over some of the best beats that anybody has ever crafted, and so it makes them kind of step their level up. if we're being honest, and I say this as a huge Slum Village fan, Jay Dilla is a better rapper than the other two guys in the group. Unfortunately, Jay Dilla passed away. But I can make a case for I can make a case for Slum Village being on this list. I can't put Slum Village ahead of Little Brother or Pete Rock and CL Smooth. If I'm making a list, like you said, they would be more back toward the back half of this list. I don't even know if I put them in the top 50. I think if I sat down off the top of my head, I think I could come up with a list. And I think, if I'm being honest, if I remove my fandom aside, Slum Village probably in the mid 70s somewhere, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I think part of the appeal is kind of like what you touched on a little bit with Little Brother. The reaction that I saw about people with Little Brother, they were so happy that Little Brother made the list. They weren't like really checking to see like where they were on the list. They were like, "Oh snap! Little Brother's one of my favorite groups of all time." So I'm happy because, like you said, they don't normally get acknowledged. And same, I think, goes for Slum Village. They don't normally get acknowledged. And it looks and feels great that they are acknowledged, but they shouldn't be at 39. 38. Big timer, not the big timers, but big timers. That would be Young Manny Fresh and Birdman. Yeah. They had some.
Did Manny Fresh always look like the stud auntie? Like back in the day.
Hey, Manny Fresh, if you see this, I don't want no smoke.
Like back in the day, I don't think he did. I didn't think no one ever thought that. I just think he grew into it.
They're still gonna get me canceled.
Right, my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I talked enough.
Oh, that was funny. I wasn't expecting that, but when you look at that picture, I cannot. I cannot disagree. I'm not gonna agree or disagree. Okay, so he threw me off. Anyway, yeah, man. I mean, the big timers, they had hits. They were a part of, Cash Money Records. No, they're not a top 50 group of all time.
Also, to make things clear, they stated on this list that they're only going by what was done as a group, not what the individuals did as a solo artist or producer. So, with that being said, outside of Get Your Roll On and Still Fly, what did you know what?
No, nothing.
Okay.
So no, they no, I'm not feeling it. At 37, 8 Ball and MJG, two Southern legends. Most definitely they belong on this list. I spent quite a few dollars on quite a few albums. That Coming Out Hard album is still a favorite. It's still one that always reminds me of college because everybody at South Carolina State University had that album. And I can justify them making the list, and I can justify them being in this position. 36, Hieroglyphics. I was surprised to see them here. I was surprised to see them at this level. I think they're definitely worthy of this. I don't know if I'm putting them ahead of Little Brother or definitely not ahead of Pete Rock and CL Smooth or Heavy D and the Boys.
You could reverse the number and they're still not at that number.
So at 63, they're not on your list at 63?
No. Now, if you rotate it to 93, they're still not on the list.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, man, because like, and here's the thing, folks, listening and watching. And I speak even when I say this. we're not hating. All you said was, here's the criteria. So I wrote down on a piece of paper, foundational pioneer, evolutionary trailblazer, and contemporary disruptor.
And what are they?
Yeah, where does Hyro fit into that? And there's no disrespect. I love Hyro. Hyro, they had some jamming, they had some jams. I never purchased any of their music, but I listened to the 2 albums that I can remember. If they did more than 2 albums, I don't know. But no,
and you know what they did?
What'd they do?
They came up with, it was like somewhere, I'm sure on the West Coast Billboard offices, they were like, oh yeah, we should put Hyro Good. And then they start snapping their fingers and say, you know who else? And then they went to 35.
35, the Far Side. I think there's something to what you just said. And I think that there's a reason why Hyro and Far Side are at 36 and 35 respectively. Damn. Again, the Bizarre Ride and Far Side, I thought was a really, really dope album. Lab Cab in California, produced by Jay Dilla. I love that album too.
If you're gonna go hieroglyphics,
mm-hmm.
and then you're gonna go and you're gonna double down and go with these fine gentlemen,
mm-hmm.
because you had Cali on the mind,
right?
Then how? Just like I said, the just the way that it seems like this list, when they came up with, I was like, oh yeah, and the Far Side.
Mm-hmm.
How is Digital Underground not on this list? Because I would argue that they're better than both of those groups.
Yes, and very much worthy of being in the place where these groups are. And they introduced to us one of the most influential, a guy who would become one of the most influential rappers of all time.
Right. So you get Hyro, you get Far Side on the list.
Yeah.
And I would argue that Far Side should be on the list, maybe in 45,
mm-hmm.
47. But Digital Underground is not on the list representing Cali. I don't know.
It's crazy. Then we get to 34. The brothers from Brand Nubian. They most certainly should be on this list. If you're a big listener and you know about hip hop, they got 5 mics in the source for their album. Most definitely belong on this list. I would make a case that they should be higher. I'm not mad at them being in at 34, but when you look at the groups that they put here and put ahead of them, I think I can make a case that Brand Nubian should be in your top 20. And I don't know that you could beat that. Then at number 33, right here in the ATL, the boys from Goody Mob. I'm biased. I'm extremely biased because this is one of my favorite groups, rap groups. I think this is about right. They definitely are deserving of this list. They had some really, really solid albums, great singles, and they're still touring, still doing their thing as a collective. So I'm okay.
Yeah, I could not disagree with you more.
Number 32, the 2 Live Crew. And 2 Live is what we are. The group of Luke Skywalker, Mr. Mix, Fresh Kid Ice, and Brother Marquise.
Marquise, your brother, how dare you?
Are groundbreaking. Well, you know what? They might, when it comes to the ability to say what you want to say and put it on wax, and Luke's constant battles with The parental advisory
constant,
sticker.
he didn't have constant battles. He had a battle.
Okay, the battle with the parental advisory sticker. You can make a case that, you know, in fact, there will be an upcoming 2 Live Crew review. Surprisingly.
Oh, that is about to be your lowest rated show.
That's coming in Hip Hop Week.
Wow. You should.
So I think it's I think that they are definitely, I think, worthy of making this list. There's no way that I'm putting them in the 30s. They would probably be like at 49.
Yeah, therefore, if City Girls and Ray Shmoo is still on the list, then they're 47. Mm-hmm. But
right.
I've purchased 2 Live Crew. I bought their first album.
Same.
And I think I said this on this my album cover purchases podcast episode. I bought it on the strength of the cover because it was their first album. No one knew anything about these guys, but they had on those Miami Hurricane starters, which still is one of the greatest jackets ever. So I purchased their music. I do not like and have never purchased Goody Mob music. And I'm putting Goody Mob over 2 Live Crew. So,
as you should.
But they'd be at 46. So
and then number 31, Boogie Down Productions. I mean, I remember seeing this on their, I guess, the initial list. And when I saw this, and I was like, okay, here goes the bullshit. Because, like, if you know and have listened to or have heard of Boogie Down Productions, I don't think that you'd have a hard time convincing me that you could put Boogie Down Productions anywhere outside of 15. They should be 15 or lower. So
if your criteria says that Boogie Down Productions counts as a rap group, because I would be 100% on board with them saying, hey, BDP's not on here because we don't really consider them a rap group. They're more of a crew, and, you know, only one person rhymed for the majority of stuff. And I would have been like, okay, I can understand. I would have not said a word if they were not on this list. I would have been like, I get it, whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to include them on this list, they're top 10. Yeah. They're top 10 or bust. They're top 10 or bust because of what they made. So if they are going to be included on this list, they're top 10 and they damn sure better than the Clips.
Coming in at number 30. Pusha T and his brother Malice, or No Malice now. At 30. Coming out of Virginia, I bought the first album. Still love that album. I bought the second album, and I think I bought the third album too. I did. So
didn't know they had 3 albums. I never purchased any of their music. I only like the grinding beat. I don't even like the lyrics on grinding. I just like the grinding beat.
How dare you? Yeah, man, I have no problem with them being on this list. If I made a list myself, they'd probably be a little bit higher than 30, but definitely not, they'd probably be somewhere in the 40s. But yeah, the solid group. Definitely not worthy of being 30 on this list. So it's on you at 29.
All right. So at 29, you have Gangstar. Listen, I am on record of not being a Gangstar fan. I am a huge DJ Premier fan. Mm-hmm. I do not necessarily care for Gangstar's music at all outside of maybe 5 songs. That being said, this is good for them on this list. 29, solid placing. I give it to them. I still put Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Do you put Little Brother ahead of Gangstar?
No.
Okay.
Personally, yes. But if I'm going by criteria, No,
Okay.
because just on the innovation of the tracks that Premier made, and that I don't think Lil Brother has anything that rings out like Take It Personal or even Dweck.
They've got joints, but not like that. No.
That's what that's all I said. I use my words correctly.
No,
They got
I'm,
joints, but they don't have ones that ring out like that.
I'm rolling. I'm rolling.
If you at a jam and you throw one on, people gonna react. You throw another group on, they'll be like, "Oh, no, it's pretty cool. I like this song."
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, 28. 28. You know, much like me, the king of the South. These guys, everything all right?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Stop that shit.
So, these guys are great. The interesting thing about it's the Ghetto Boys, by the way. Ghetto Boys had the 28. The interesting thing about this, they provided a picture of not the Ghetto Boys.
You know,
it's the original recipe. It's the original recipe, Ghetto Boys, before the shit happened.
Okay, because I see DJ Red on the top of this car, but these other two dudes I've never seen before in my life. I didn't know what this was.
So, and that's one of the things that annoys me about the Ghetto Boys, that they redid a whole bunch of their music. I don't like that. But shout outs to Sire Jukebox and Sir Rap-A-Lot.
I'm glad you know who these guys are, because I don't.
Yeah. Sire Jukebox, Sir Rap-A-Lot. And
I don't think I've ever heard those. If we started this show and you say, "Hey, 12 Kyle, who is Sire Jukebox and Sir Rap-A-Lot?" I'd be like, "Your cousin?"
And Prince Johnny C. So, yeah, I don't know why, but anyway, this is good. Ghetto Boys belong on the list. They should be on the list. They shouldn't be ahead of Gangstar, I don't think. But this is a good spot for them. And in the lower 20s is a good spot for the Ghetto Boys. I would maybe 31. Now DJ Jazzy Jeff and Old Boy. No. And I have listened to more of their music than just about anybody else previous on this list, except for BDP and PYCS, people like that. But they're not. They absolutely are not the 27th greatest rap group of all time.
Do they make the top 50?
Top 50, yeah. They're somewhere in the 40s.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
They're somewhere in the 40s. And the reason why I'm putting them somewhere in the 40s, they have only 2 good albums. Their first 2.
Facts.
And they only have 1 good song since Ready Roxy left the group.
Programming note for those of you, if you did not catch it, E and I, a few months ago at the time of this recording, we did a album review of their debut album, Parents Just Don't Understand. So go check that out. What's that?
Their second album, He's the
DJ. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's the, what the hell am I thinking about? He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. That's the name of the album. We did a review on it. It's called He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, 35 years later. And he did say that they only had 1 good song after the second album. And
no one's been able to prove me wrong.
He might be right. He might be right.
And the opposite of right is number 26.
Come on, man.
This is the position that I scrolled to after I saw who was number 1. I had to see where my personal favorite rap group was.
Come on, man.
And they're at 20. They're not even in the top 25.
Come on, man.
Rap groups of all time. And
come on,
this
Billboard.
Is Eric and Parrish Making Dollars.
And we did an album review for them too. Strictly Business. Go check it out. It's good. It was good.
And we were hard pressed to find anything wrong with that album.
Nope.
And I would go on record. Listen, the views expressed by this statement does not reflect 12 Cal and 12 Industries. No one under, one air quote group under here has a better album than Strictly Business. And them being 26 on this list is about as criminal as the only album title that is below this that is better than here. For those of you playing at home, the only one is Boogie Down Productions, which is Criminal Minded, which is my favorite album of all time. And both of these groups should be in the top 10. This particular group, I'm going to take all my biases out of this. I'm going to be an unbiased journalist right now. If using the criteria is what the criteria is criterion, they're top three. They're top three. They're top five at worst. Top five at worst. But I would still have a for me. So I just this is egregious. I feel bullied. I'm hurt that they're
bamboozled.
And then they said to me, they looked me in the faces, told me that the Hot Boys were better.
Hey man, they invented what was the joint? Wobbity wobbity, drop it like it's hot. Yeah.
But I backed it up and stopped.
Yeah. And
I still had to try.
That's the crazy thing. Like I didn't, when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is done. Like there's always one or two. And for me, when I saw EPMD at 20, well, seeing EPMD at 26 was like just like unreal. I was like, nah, this can't be. I knew, okay, yeah, you got Gangstar at 29, okay. Looking at BDP at 31, that was a shocker, but having EPMD this high, and you and I both have talked about it. I mean, like, they're one of, hands down, I don't necessarily know that you can put up an argument against them being, a top 10 group. And
they're an actual group. These are just some guys that's hanging out. The Hot Boys, listen.
The Hot Boys.
Speaking of.
And if you think the Hot Boys were egregious, you get to 24. Oh, my God.
Yeah, speaking of people that's just hanging out with each other. So to eliminate anyone who thinks I have an East Coast bias, the Diplomats aren't even on my 50.
Nor should they be.
Like 24. The Diplomats, according to the incredible hip hop journalists at Billboard magazine, the Diplomats are superior to Gangstar, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, Boogie Down Productions, and EPMD, and the Ghetto Boys for that matter. Whatever version you want to give me.
And Little Brother.
Little Brother, Big Sister, all of them, the entire family. And I just don't agree. But boy, if I did, the Sugar Hill Gang. Seriously, the Sugar Hill Gang. Now listen, you know me, I am old school guy. Encyclopedia hip hop, respect the pioneers.
That's you.
Give everybody their flowers.
All day long.
And the Sugar Hill Gang. Sure, put them on the list. Put them at 45.
Put them at 49 and a half.
If City Girls are still here.
Right.
Then they're at 45. If Ray Shmood is still here, put them at 45. If Yin Yang Twins are still here, put them at 45. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going?
2 Live Crew is still here.
If 2 Live Crew is still here, put them at 45. If the Diplomats are still here, put them at 45.
Yeah. So,
but Wonder Mike, Master G, and the biggest biter in hip hop history, Big Biter Hank,
Big Bang Hank. Oh man.
They can't be on this list. And this is not the most egregious placement of a old school group on this list yet. And these guys are at 23.
Mm-hmm.
22, living off experience. The Warlocks. This is a case for them. They should be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
They should be probably somewhere around here.
I agree.
However, this is a sum of parts placement. Their stuff together. You know what? I take it back. Their stuff together is better than their individual stuff. It's just that their features are better than their albums. Which makes me say it's the sum of the parts. But 22 is solid for them. I can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
What I can argue with. Listen, rest in peace, Uncle Charles.
I was about to say one of them died.
Uncle Charles said, rest in peace.
I was like,
rest in peace, Uncle Charles, and special shout outs to Shatasha.
Oh man.
Bone Thugs in Harmony.
Yes, sir.
Are not, nor would they ever be, the 21st greatest. You know what? How about this? If the list and the list is the top 50 greatest rap groups of all time, then you know what? Yes, they are.
Okay.
If this was top 50 greatest hip hop groups of all time, they are not.
Okay. There you go.
So as far as the rapidy rap groups, man, go ahead and throw them up there. Give them some skibbity. Sure. Why not?
Right.
Creeping on Come Up. Everyone loves creeping on Come Up.
Of course they do.
Yeah, man. And then 20 is UGG.
Yes, sir.
I don't dislike UGG.
Love them.
UGK, by the way, everyone.
Love them.
I don't love them, but also Kyle loves everybody.
No, I don't.
Kyle loves every time.
There's going to be a podcast that says Kyle loves everybody.
Yes.
It's going to be a no.
Now, Bun B and Pimp C, listen, I'm not, there's no way they're 20.
I put them at 20. I can see them being at 20.
I can name 20 because I'm not putting them above. I'm not putting them above P Rock Still Smooth. I'm not putting them above BDP. I'm not putting them above Heavy D. Well, for this criteria, I'm not putting them above Heavy D and the Boys. Not putting them above the Ghetto Boys. I'm not putting them above. I'm not putting them above Brand New. I'm not putting them above. They can go above Clips. I'm not putting them above. Who's those other? EPMD. So that's 6 right there. And I don't think I'm gonna put them above the lie. So that's 7, and they're at 20. So I don't think they make 20. So for me,
okay.
But I do enjoy them. I'm definitely putting them above Goody Mob. Jesus Christ. They made Pocket Full of Stones, for Christ's sake. This is incredible song. It's an incredible song.
My man.
So